What's up guys, Jonny May here and welcome to this week's quick tip where I'm going to teach you how to comp over the cycle of fifths progression. This is the progression that's used in countless jazz standards like Fly Me to the Moon, Autumn Leaves, and All the Things You Are. Let me show you what this sounds like. This is called the 3-7 approach, and the beauty of this approach is that you only have to move one note down in the right hand as you maneuver between the chords. So I'm going to be explaining exactly how this technique works. Now this quick tip comes from my full-length course, 5 approaches for how to comp over the cycle of fifths progression, and at the end of today's quick tip, I'm going to give you a quick summary of what's inside the full-length course. So let's go ahead and get started. Here we go guys, approach number 1. This is the meat of today's lesson. Is giving you guys some approaches to comping in the jazz swing style. Okay, here's approach number 1. I'm going to play it for you guys, and then I'm going to break it down, okay? I'm going to do this one actually with the track so you guys can really appreciate the sound of it. Here's how it goes. Kind of a simple sound, okay, but it's a cool sound and a beautiful sound. What am I doing here, guys? I'm using a very simple idea. Here's how it goes. I talked about the chords earlier. I taught you these minor 7th chords, okay? What you do in this style, approach number 1, I call it root plus 3-7, is you take your chord, which has a 1, the root, the 3, the 5, and the 7th of the chord, okay? And you simply break up these notes. You put the root on the bottom, you take the 3rd and the 7th, the C and the G, and you put it up here in the right hand, okay? These are the most important notes of your chords. When you play jazz music, your most important notes are the root, the 3rd, and the 7th. It's very common for jazz musicians to omit, to take out the 5th of the chord. And we'll talk more about that later if you attend the intermediate advanced workshop. But we're going to use the 3 and the 7 in the right hand to play these chords, okay? So you get the most important notes of the chord. Now, when I go to my D minor 7, I'm going to go here. Go ahead and play this with me, guys. D on the bottom, C, and F on the top, okay? Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get to a D minor 7 chord and use the same principle. I want to use the root, the 3rd, and the 7th, which I just explained to you guys. But here's the thing, guys. If I went from an A minor 7 here to a D minor 7 like that, that's a big jump in my right hand. You guys see that? I've got to jump up to this position, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to invert my D minor 7 chord. I'm going to take that C, which is up here, and I'm going to put it on the bottom. And now I have an inverted D minor 7 chord, okay? And now, when I come from that A minor 7, I don't have to jump as far. Isn't that cool? Okay? We're going to use inversions to play this 3 and 7 and maneuver between the chords. The other thing I want to keep in mind is this concept called voice leading, okay? And anytime you move between chords, you want to be as efficient as possible, and oftentimes chords share the same notes. A minor 7 shares a C with a D minor 7, and we call this voice leading, okay? Good voice leading is where you move between chords, but you can keep the same notes, and it's actually more musical, and it's more interesting, okay? So I'm going to take some notes here, and you guys can draw, you guys can write in your lesson sheet music. I encourage you to do this. If you have a pencil nearby, go ahead and grab it. But look at this C between the 2 chords, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little line demonstrating how they are the same note. Look at that. Same note, C on the bottom, okay? Voice leading. Next chord is a G7, okay? We're going to play this here, the B and the F. This is the 3rd and the 7th of the chord. If you just played a G7 in root position, which I taught you earlier, that's the 3rd and that's the 7, okay? You guys see that? Okay? And here's the cool thing. We just came from D minor 7, it was there, and look at that common tone on the top. We share that F between the 2 chords, okay? So we're using this principle between all of the chords, looking for common notes. And again, this is called a common tone, and it's good voice leading, okay? That F is shared between the two chords. Next chord, guys, is C major 7. We're going to use the inverted C major 7. Once again, guys, how do you figure this out? You start with a C major 7 chord, which I taught you. The third and the 7 is the E and the B, and we simply invert it, and there's your chord, okay? Isn't that cool? And once again, G7 to C major 7. Look at that beauty. That B is shared between the two chords, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make a line here, and bam, there's that B that is shared between, and this is good writing. This is good comping. This is the way you should comp as a beginner jazz pianist. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the lesson. I just want to quickly let you know that the lesson sheet music, which you're seeing here on the top left of the screen, is downloadable and printable for all of our members at pianowithjohnny.com. And we also have the smart sheet music, which allows you to change the key of the sheet music. You can loop sections and you can even slow it down. And also our members can download the backing track, which also comes with this course. So let's go ahead and hop back in the lesson. C major 7, okay? Got the B and the E. Next chord, F major 7. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Okay, again, looking for common tones. A and E are on the top. We're going to put a little line, a little red thing here for the E. That's shared between the two. That's the 3-7. Next chord is B minor 7. That'll be here. That's the 7th. That's the 3rd. Again, we have a common tone here. This is shared between the two chords. It's the A on the bottom. If you are totally confused and you're saying, Johnny, how do I find these tones, these chords? Go back to the root position chords I taught you. B minor 7, flat 5. That's the 3, that's the 7. It's a D and an A. It's D and an A. It's the same notes. Simply inverted. And then an E7. Okay? 3 and 7. And again, guys, we got a common tone on the top. It's a D. Look at that. Boom. There it is. Beauty. Okay? A minor 7 is the final one, G and C. Okay, this one does not share any common tones to the E7 chord. Okay, but it's very close. E7 to A minor 7. Now I want you guys to look at this. Do you guys see this? Common tone on the bottom, common tone on the top, common tone on the bottom, common tone on the top. Isn't that cool, guys? This is math right here. Okay, music is math. Music is patterns. Okay. And that's exactly what we have here. When you're moving by cycle of fifth, by cycle of fifths, you've got these beautiful patterns where you have common tones sharing on the bottom, on the top, on the bottom, and on the top. And this makes it so much easier when you're progressing through chords. Okay, so I just want you guys to visually see this. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it, to see music following this lovely pattern. So guys, this is the 3-7 approach, and what I want you to do is work on this, get the chords down. Okay, that's pretty fast. If you can get it there, that's pretty amazing. But what I want you to do is try playing with the backing track. Now, when you're playing with the backing track, you can pick any groove you want. You can do groove 1. That's cool. You can do groove 2. Putting that chord on beat 4. And finally, groove 3. You guys see what I'm doing? You pick the groove you want, and let's jam. You guys ready for this? Do your best. I know it's a live lesson. You may not be able to keep up, but do your best, okay? Here we go, guys. E7, okay, A minor 7, okay? So it really moves along at this tempo, and by the way, guys, this would be considered a medium swing, okay? It's not a slow swing, it's definitely medium, it's almost a faster swing tempo, so I just want you to keep this in mind. If you're playing with a swing group, this is an excellent goal in terms of a tempo. And then like I said, guys, try groove 2. I'll do it once more, trying the various grooves. I'll do groove 2 for a bit, and then I'll do groove 3. Here it is. Groove 2. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's do groove 3. want to move you guys along. We still have 4 more approaches, and then I want to answer any of your questions that you guys might have. By the way, welcome Fabrizio, tuning in from Italy. Great to have you. Man, we got tons of members in Europe, actually. It's really cool to see all our European members. Terry, tuning in from the Cotswolds in United Kingdom. Great to have you. John Anton, welcome to the live workshop. Ellen has a question. When you're figuring out where to go next, how do you know whether to play a major or minor chord? And that is an excellent question. Ellen, let me answer that question toward the end of the lesson, because that's a really good question. That's a question I get often from my students. Let's continue along, guys, and approach number 2. We're going to go ahead and use an A minor 7 chord like this, okay? Basically, what I'm going to do, actually, Alan, let me answer that question now. I don't think that'll take me too long to answer, but basically, why do you use a major chord and why do you use a minor chord? Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stay in the key of C major, okay? In other words, this whole chord progression, this would be considered the 6th chord in the key of C. This would be the 2 chord in the key of C. This would be the 5 chord in the key of C. And then this would be the 1 chord in the key of C, and then this would be called the 4 chord. Notice all of these chords use white notes, so I'm trying to stay within the key, okay? However, you could use a dominant chord. You could use an A7, A dominant 7, D dominant 7, G dominant 7, but notice now I'm pulling in black notes, okay? And it has a different sound. It has a bluesier sound when you start using more of these dominant chords. So the short answer, and I think I can give you a longer answer at the end of the lesson, but I'm trying to stay within the key of C, which is white notes, okay? Let's continue, guys. Approach number 2. All right, guys, this concludes today's quick tip, and if you enjoyed this lesson, I want to give you a quick summary of what's inside the full-length course. Now, in lesson number 1, I'm going to teach you the cycle of fifths progression. I'm going to teach you these 2 in root position. So you're going to learn it in a very, very simple way. And I'm going to be explaining not only the chords and how to play them and how to build these chords, but why this is in fact a cycle of fifths progression. So once you understand this concept, you'll really be able to start understanding other jazz standards. In lesson number 2, I'm going to teach you 3 different grooves that you can use if you're playing with other musicians. And if you're playing with other musicians, you want to have a variety of grooves that you can play. So I'm going to teach you 3 of my favorite grooves. In lesson number 3, I'm going to teach you approach number 1. And guys, this is a super simple approach. Let me show you what this sounds like. I'm going to show you this incredible pattern that you can use in the right hand where you only have to move down 1 note to get to the next chord, okay? It's a really, really cool pattern. I'm going to show you the pattern we're going to be drawing in the lesson sheet music. In lesson number 4, I'm going to teach you the inverted pattern, where you can basically take the same pattern and start a little lower on the piano, okay? This is called a 3-7 or a 7-3 approach. You're going to learn this approach. In lesson number 5, I'm going to teach you approach number 3, and this is where you can take your chords and kind of spread them out a little bit. And we use this technique in the left hand called shells. So I'm going to teach you the shell approach in the left hand, and in the right hand there's this cool little pattern where you don't have to move the right hand between the chords. So it's really, really simple. In lesson number 6, I'm going to teach you beautiful 9th chords, and this is where you can start to add some really beautiful harmonies to your chords. You guys hear this? And finally, in lesson number 7, I'm going to teach you dominant 13 chords and major 6-9 chords. And basically, you can take these 2 types of chords and make it sound even more jazzy. Really, really cool sound. So I'm going to be explaining exactly how these chords work. So obviously there is a ton to learn in this course, and we also have the intermediate advanced course where I teach you 5 intermediate advanced comping approaches. Finally, guys, I just want to encourage you to check out the membership at pianowithjohnny.com. Currently, we have over 400 lessons in pretty much all the styles you could possibly want to learn, like jazz, blues, swing music, ballads, improvisation, theory, technique, boogie woogie, guys. A ton of styles, lessons for all playing levels, and our members get unlimited access to the entire catalog, plus we release new lessons every single month. We do live events for our members, a live Q&A, a live workshop lesson. We do weekly challenges for the members. It's just a great platform, so be sure to check out the membership. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next quick tip.